What can you tell us about other common forms of injuries that you see in the training room?
It all depends on sport. Uh, Take swimming, for example. Obviously, we've got many more shoulder issues with swimming, just from the wear and tear and the abuse those shoulders take with each stroke. Strength is a component that helps that, but almost everybody in their career is going to have some kind of shoulder issue, whether it's impingement, tendonitis, uh, labrum issues, muscle imbalance, like we talked about before, something like that. It's very rare. There are some that get away with it, but it's very rare that with the yardage that they put in, that there's not a shoulder component injury in a swimmer. Um, volleyball gets the same thing from swimming. We get a lot of problems on the dominant side of a volleyball player. Pitchers in baseball, not so much softball because they have a different motion, but baseball pitchers, we get a lot of issues with shoulder problems and elbow problems, really, with pitching. So upper extremity or shoulder injuries are really sports specific. Again, certainly you're not going to have a cross-country runner necessarily come in with a shoulder injury unless they trip and fall, things like that. Basketball, not so much, unless they get caught up in a rebound or fall from getting undercut and have to come down on their shoulder or outstretched hand, and that transfers up into their shoulder. So that's what we see the most of.
Can you tell us about pain management and what techniques do you utilize for your athletes?
Uh, sure, pain management. A lot of times, when we discover the source of the pain, we're much better off. Most of the time, an athlete's pain is a result of an injury of some kind or an overuse of some kind. When we discover what that is, when we evaluate and figure out what that is, we can address that. Whether it is an imbalance, a muscle imbalance, whether it is a tendonitis or some kind of inflammation, uh, whether it is an overuse, whether it's biomechanical. We'll have pitchers or swimmers, or like we talked about before, upper extremity athletes doing something that's totally incorrect and would do nothing but cause pain if they kept doing it that way. Well, a lot of times what we'll do, let's say for a pitcher, is actually film them from different angles, from the front, from the side, from the back, and go over that film with the coaches and go over their biomechanics. If they change one little thing, a release point, an arm angle, a stride, something like that, it will alleviate the pressure from the shoulder, for example, and cause that to go away. But again, most of the time, pain management is treatment, is education, it's changing the biomechanics a little bit, uh, and things like that. Rehabilitation to get things strong that have been hurt, like we talked about the imbalances before. So that's what we do. If it's something that we cannot handle in the athletic training room, then we can refer out to doctors, to specialists. Again, if it's something we can't handle, we can go delve further into it, whether it's diagnostically with MRIs, CAT scans, whatever, or pain management type physicians.
Finally, you have been for many years worked in the field of sports medicine. What changes have you seen, and where do you perceive the evolution is going in the field?
I'll tell you what, the change it's been incredible. Let me just give you an example, then I'll expand on that. Back when I first started in sports medicine and athletic training, somebody would have an ACL tear. That ACL would be fixed. They tried to actually sew it together back then. And then you'd be in a cast for 6 months, basically, of immobilization. After that, you take the cast off, then you try to get motion and strength back, and that would be another 6 or 8 months. So you're talking a year to a year and a half, probably, before anyone was back on the field or on the court. Today, these days, you're talking 3 to 5 months for the entire same process to happen. Of course, now they don't try to sew these ligaments together. They'll do a patellar tendon graft or a hamstring tendon or a cadaver graft. Motion is started the very next day. And then, like I said, some doctors are different, but 3 to 5 to 6 months now, you're back on the floor, back on the field, back on the court, performing as you were pre-injury. So the advances in sports medicine, and really what we do, a lot of what we do is directly related to the physicians. Their techniques, their understanding of sports medicine has gotten so much better that it makes our job a little bit easier. Their job is half of it, and ours is the other half of getting athletes back. Also the equipment. The equipment has gotten much better. We've gotten so much better rehab equipment and treatment equipment to help us get swelling out, get inflammation out, get kids back safer, quickly and safely. It's been just every year. The advances are really so much. Equipment, braces, things like that. So it's never ending. It certainly hasn't stopped. But the advances will keep coming, and it makes our job a lot easier. You wonder why when you hear somebody having surgery the week before they're on the field already. I remember back when arthroscopy was first starting, we were amazed, absolutely amazed, that somebody would get a scope done on their knee, and the very next week they were back on the field playing. I mean, that was unbelievable back in the time. So, and now it's commonplace. Now we'll do a scope, and within 2 or 3 weeks, probably at the most, unless there was something serious that they found. But for a regular arthroscopy, where you clean up a little meniscus problem, trim a little meniscus, 2 or 3 weeks, we're back on the floor playing. So those kind of advances, again, from the physician side and from the equipment side, have made a huge, huge difference in what we do. The rehabilitation techniques are so much different. The rehabilitation equipment, I mean, the things we have available to us now are unbelievable, and just help us get kids back as quickly and safely as possible.
Mike, thank you very much for your time, and good luck this season.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.